The station lights died 3 seconds after the stranger said, "Victor Kane wanted to speak with me." I heard his shoes move across the wooden platform. Slow, controlled, confident. Men who expect resistance usually move quickly. Men who believe their target is trapped take their time. I stepped away from the payphone and let the receiver hang beside me. "Elena," Marcus had said only seconds earlier. The voice of a man officially dead for 12 years still echoed in my head. He had warned me that Victor Kane was searching for him. He had also said something I did not want to believe. "General Caldwell knows more than he told you." Now a man was walking toward me in darkness. I could not see his face, but I could hear fabric brushing against his coat. His right hand remained slightly separated from his body. He was carrying something. "Colonel Hayes," he called. "Mr. Kane has no intention of hurting you. That would be more convincing if you hadn't cut the lights. The lights are unreliable. So is your employer." He laughed softly. A faint red dot moved across the wall behind me. Not a weapon sight. A rangefinder, someone else was watching from outside the station. The man on the platform was not alone. "You came without backup," he said. "You checked. We know you left your phone in your vehicle." That was true. It was also what I wanted them to believe. The phone in my vehicle was my personal device. The emergency transmitter, sewn into my coat lining, was military issue. It had activated the moment the station lights went out. "What does Kane want?" I asked. "The recorder. It's in federal custody. He believes you retained a copy. He believes many things. He also believes Sergeant Reed contacted you." I said nothing. The man continued walking. "Where is Marcus? I was hoping you would tell me. You spoke to him." "That doesn't mean I know where he is. You expect Mr. Kane to believe that? I don't care what Mr. Kane believes." The stranger stopped about 12 feet away. A train passed on the distant freight line. For 1 second, its lights crossed the broken station windows. I saw him clearly. Mid-40s, short brown hair, a scar below his left ear, a compact pistol fitted with a suppressor in his right hand. He was not pointing it at me yet. That was his mistake. The train passed. Darkness returned. I moved before he adjusted. My left hand caught his wrist. My right elbow struck the nerve above his forearm. The pistol hit the floor. He drove his shoulder into me, forcing me against the wall. Pain shot through my old injury. He was stronger than I expected. But strength becomes predictable when anger controls it. He tried to pin my arm. I rotated beneath him, struck the back of his knee, and used his forward momentum to drive him into the payphone. Metal cracked against bone. He fell. The red dot returned. This time it stopped on my chest. I pulled the stranger in front of me as the station window shattered. The shot struck the wall. The man outside had missed intentionally. A warning. Car tires screamed beyond the station. The second operative was leaving. The man in my hands attempted to reach beneath his coat. I forced him to the floor. "Don't." He froze. I removed a second weapon from his ankle and a phone from his inside pocket. The phone screen lit when his face moved near it. There were only 3 applications. Mamas. Kamamar files. I opened the most recent video. General Thomas Caldwell stood inside a private office. Across from him was Victor Kane. The footage had no sound. Caldwell handed Kane a sealed military envelope. Kane opened it. Inside was a photograph of Marcus Reed. A recent photograph. I stared at the screen. The man beneath me laughed. "You still think the general is your friend?" The station doors opened. 3 armed federal agents entered, followed by Noah Bennett and 2 military investigators. The stranger stopped laughing. Noah looked at the broken window. The weapons on the floor and the man beneath my knee. "You said this was only a meeting." It was. "This is how your meetings usually end?" "Only the unproductive ones." The agents took the stranger into custody. I handed the phone to the lead investigator. "Preserve everything on it." "What did you find?" I watched the video play again. Caldwell. Kane, Marcus's photograph. The reason my mentor told me to stop looking. At 7 the following morning, I was ordered to report to the Pentagon. The notice contained no explanation. It did not need one. My security clearance had already been suspended by the time I arrived. 2 officers met me outside the secure corridor. Neither would look directly at me. Colonel Hayes, the senior officer said, "We need your identification badge and government-issued communication equipment." Under whose authority? The Office of Special Review. That office cannot suspend operational clearance without a signed directive. He handed me a document. The signature at the bottom belonged to Brigadier General Adrian Voss. I knew the name. Voss had worked in military intelligence for nearly 25 years. He was polished, politically connected, and frequently appeared before Congress as an expert on emerging security threats. He had also supervised the final internal review of Operation Silent Lantern. The review that concluded Marcus Reed died during an enemy attack. The review that sealed every contradiction in the mission record. I removed my identification card and placed it in the officer's hand. My communication equipment was surrendered to federal investigators last night. His expression shifted. "We were told you retained it. You were told incorrectly. Colonel, are you aware that classified files connected to Silent Lantern were transmitted to an unauthorized civilian system?" "No. The transmission originated from a device registered to you." "What device?" "A field communications recorder. Marcus's recorder. That device was in a secure federal laboratory, not according to General Voss." The corridor doors opened. Caldwell stepped through. He looked older than he had in court months earlier. His silver hair was still neatly cut, but exhaustion had settled beneath his eyes. "Give us the room," he told the officers. They left. Caldwell waited until the doors closed. "What happened at the station?" "You know what happened. I know an unidentified contractor was arrested carrying suppressed weapons. And a phone." His face changed slightly. "You saw the recording. I watched you give Victor Kane a recent photograph of Marcus." Caldwell looked toward the security camera in the corner. "Not here. Then choose somewhere else." "There is nowhere else. That sounds like your problem." "Elena, listen to me. You told me Marcus was dead. I told you what I was authorized to tell you. You saluted me in court while hiding proof that one of my soldiers was alive. It was not proof. It was a photograph. A photograph can be fabricated. Did you believe it was fabricated when you gave it to Kane?" Caldwell lowered his voice. "I did not give it to him. I watched you place it in his hand. You watched silent footage selected by people who wanted you to see it. Then explain the part I didn't see." He glanced again at the camera. "General Voss has requested a formal inquiry. Into the leaked files? Into your conduct." "My conduct?" "You entered an unauthorized contact point, communicated with a missing service member, and removed restricted data from federal custody. I didn't remove anything. The recorder transmitted files using your authentication sequence. I never authorized a transmission. That will be determined." "By Voss?" "By a review panel. Selected by Voss." Caldwell said nothing. That was an answer. I stepped closer. "Does Voss know Marcus is alive?" "I don't know. You investigated Silent Lantern." "I investigated the official record and buried everything that contradicted it." His expression hardened. "You think I wanted Marcus declared dead?" "I think you wanted the operation closed. I wanted to prevent another 27 people from being hunted. By lying to their families. By keeping their names out of the hands of men like Kane." "And how did that work?" His eyes moved toward mine. "Elena, Kane had the family contact manifest. Nathan Reed gave it to him before the operation." "I know." The words stopped me. "How long have you known?" 10 years. "You let Nathan build a company using Marcus's name." "I could not act without exposing the surviving personnel." "You could have warned Laura." And when Kane monitored the warning? You don't know that he would have. We lost 2 witnesses after the first inquiry. What witnesses? Caldwell looked away. I understood. People died. Yes. Because they tried to tell the truth? Yes. And you decided silence was safer. I decided living witnesses were more useful than dead ones. I thought of Aaron standing in court, using my silence to accuse me of being a fraud. Nathan had done the same thing. Now Caldwell stood in front of me and called silence as protection, but silence protects. Whoever controls the story. General Voss wants you to appear before the panel tomorrow morning, Caldwell said. Will you testify, if ordered? That wasn't my question. His voice softened. I am trying to keep you alive. No. I looked at the man who had once taught me that leaders stood between danger and their people. You're trying to keep the consequences manageable. Elena. I turned toward the door. Elena, I stopped. If the panel orders you to disclose Marcus's contact, refuse. They'll remove my rank. Rank can be restored. They could charge me. Charges can be answered. And Marcus? Caldwell looked directly at me. If Voss finds him first, there will be nothing left to answer. Major Naomi Carter was waiting for me outside the Pentagon security office. I had seen her name in intelligence briefings, but had never met her. She was 36, African American, with close-cropped hair and the controlled posture of someone accustomed to entering rooms where people had already decided she did not belong. She wore civilian clothes. Her identification badge had also been confiscated. You're Colonel Hayes, she said. Yes. I'm Major Carter. I know. That usually means I'm in trouble. Today we may both be. She almost smiled. Then she held out a paper folder. I was the analyst assigned to examine the recorder. Federal investigators said it was in their laboratory. It was. Military Special Review took jurisdiction 12 hours after it arrived. Under Voss, she nodded. I found an encrypted partition inside the device. It contained old routing information and one compressed audio file. Marcus's message? I don't know. I never opened it. Why not? Because the decryption request was redirected. To whom? General Caldwell's office. My jaw tightened. Did Caldwell authorize the transfer? The digital order carried his credentials. But the timestamp was wrong. How wrong? 14 seconds. Most people would not understand why 14 seconds mattered. Military command systems synchronize activity to secure network time. An authentic authorization and its verification token should not differ by more than a fraction of a second. 14 seconds meant the credentials had been copied and replayed. Someone cloned Caldwell's access. That was my conclusion. What happened when you reported it? General Voss ordered me to stop examining the recorder, and when you refused, my clearance was suspended. She handed me the folder. Inside were copies of network logs and authorization records. You removed classified logs. I documented a technical irregularity before they locked me out. That sounds better in court. Are we going to court? We're going wherever Voss can control the room. Naomi studied me. People say you're connected to the leak. People say many things. They say the recorder activated with your voice. It did, and that an audio file was transmitted to a civilian attorney. Who says that? Voss's investigators. No civilian attorney received it. Then, they've built the accusation around a file that doesn't exist. Or a file they created. We sat in a quiet cafe across the river. Naomi opened her laptop but did not connect it to the internet. The recorder's memory architecture was unusual, she said. It did not store files chronologically. How were they arranged? By authentication identity. Marcus designed it to separate users. Yes, your voice unlocked one partition. Sophie Reed's biometric profile unlocked another. And a third? Naomi turned the screen toward me. A small symbol appeared beside the unidentified partition. It resembled a circle divided by a vertical line. I recognized it immediately. That was Caldwell's command mark. His personal authentication symbol? During Silent Lantern, then he had his own section. Or Marcus wanted us to believe he did. Naomi enlarged the system data. The third partition was accessed 6 months ago. By whom? I can't identify the user. But the verification originated from a secure network controlled by General Voss's office. I leaned back. Why would Voss access the recorder before it appeared in Sophie's safe? He may have accessed a duplicate. Marcus created more than one. Or someone copied the device years ago. A waitress passed our table. We stopped speaking until she moved away. Naomi closed the laptop. What was Silent Lantern? A recovery mission. For what? At first, Powell's people, and later, evidence. What kind? Proof that someone inside the command structure was selling operational access. To Victor Kane. We didn't know his name then, and Marcus found the proof. Yes, where? I remembered him inside the damaged communications building, blood on his sleeve, holding a small metal case. He never told me. Naomi tapped the third partition symbol. Maybe he told Caldwell. My phone rang. Only 4 people had the temporary number. The caller was my mother. I almost let it go to voicemail. Then I answered, Mom, Elena, there are reporters outside. My chest tightened. Outside your house? Yes. They asked whether you sold military secrets. I didn't. They showed me a document. What document? It had your name and a list of accounts. It was false. You don't know what they showed me. I know I didn't sell anything. She became quiet. Since my father's death, my mother and I had been trying to rebuild years of careful distance. She had learned more about my service in court than I had ever told her in private. That knowledge had brought pride. It had also brought fear. Are you in danger? She asked. Yes. The truth escaped before I could soften it. Should I leave the house, I'll arrange security. Elena, look at me. We were speaking by phone, but she still used the phrase she had used when I was a child. It meant, stop protecting me from the answer. Did you do anything illegal? I contacted Marcus Reed, the soldier who died. He may be alive. She breathed in sharply. Does the army know? Some of them. And they want you to pretend he is dead. Yes. Will you? No. There was a long silence, then my mother said, Good. The answer surprised me. Good? Your father spent his life telling you duty came before comfort. He never said it came before truth. I closed my eyes. I may lose my command. You'll still be my daughter. I may be charged. Then we'll find a better lawyer than your brother did. Despite everything, I smiled, my mother continued. But Elena, yes? Do not confuse refusing to hide with trying to die. I won't. That was not convincing. It was the best I could do. When the call ended, Naomi was watching me. Your mother believes you. She asked better questions than the investigators. Naomi looked through the cafe window. A news van had stopped across the street. 2 men stepped out, carrying cameras. They found us. No, I said. I watched a black government vehicle stop behind them. Someone sent them. By evening, my photograph was on every major news network. The headline beneath it read, Decorated Colonel, investigated for classified intelligence. The photograph had been taken at the Pentagon 3 years earlier. General Voss stood beside me, smiling as I received a commendation. Now he appeared on television expressing concern about the potential misuse of public trust by individuals with access to restricted systems. He did not use my name. He did not need to. The court of public opinion works fastest when accusations are shaped like questions. Did Colonel Elena Hayes transmit classified information? Was her celebrated career based on missions the public could not verify? Had she used her protected status to hide misconduct? My brother Aaron called from federal custody. I declined the call twice. On the 3rd attempt, I answered, What do you want? His laugh was bitter. I wanted to hear whether the famous Colonel Hayes still sounds superior. I never sounded superior. You felt inferior. You think everyone who questions you is jealous. No. Some are corrupt. Some are frightened. You were both. There was silence on the line, then he said, I saw the news. Congratulations. They say you sold military files. I didn't. That's what you told the judge about Dad's records. I told the judge the truth. You destroyed me with one folder. You stole from veterans. And now someone has a folder on you. I almost ended the call, then Aaron said something unexpected. A man visited me yesterday. What man? He said he could improve my sentence. In exchange for what? Information about you. My grip tightened. What did you tell him? That you never trusted me enough to tell me anything. That may be the first useful thing you've said. He knew about Dad's letter. What part? The name Victor Kane. I stood, describe him. Late 50s, expensive suit. Gray eyes, scar on his right thumb. Victor Kane had entered a federal detention facility personally. That meant he was either protected at a level I had underestimated or desperate enough to ignore risk. What did he ask? Whether Dad left you a key. What key? I don't know. Aaron. I'm telling you the truth. You have a weak relationship with that concept. He showed me a photograph of Dad wearing the old watch he gave you. I looked at the silver watch on my wrist. Dad had mailed me the key to his office years before his death. He had given me the watch when I was 18. What else? Kane said the watch didn't belong to Dad. Who did it belong to? He said you should ask Caldwell. The call disconnected. I removed the watch. The back carried the familiar inscription. Stand when others step back. I had read those words thousands of times. But the metal rim around the engraving showed a tiny indentation I had never noticed. I inserted the point of a paper clip, the back released. Inside was a fanfril capsule, no larger than a grain of rice. Naomi stared at it. How long have you worn that watch? 24 years. You had evidence inside it the entire time? I don't know what it is. We brought the capsule to Noah's office, where a retired military imaging specialist examined it. The film contained 27 names. They were the names of survivors from Silent Lantern. Beside each name was a sequence of letters and numbers. One additional line appeared at the bottom. A. Voss. Naomi looked at me. Authorization for what? I remembered the routing maps, the compromised evacuation corridor, and the enemy team that had arrived before we transmitted our position. Access to the recovery network. Voss had approved the system that allowed Kane to track us. Noah studied the image. Is this enough to prove a crime? Not alone. What does it prove? That my father knew Voss was connected. And Caldwell. I looked again at the capsule. My father had hidden it inside the watch instead of giving it to the military review. That meant he had not trusted the official investigation. Caldwell had led that investigation. We need the third partition. I said. Naomi shook her head. Voss has the recorder. Then we let him believe he has the only copy. Is there another? I thought of Marcus's message. The breach came from home. Not command. Home. He had hidden information in family property, personal devices and objects no military search would consider operational. The recorder was not the archive, I said. It was the key. To what? I looked at the list of 27 survivors. The people. We contacted the survivors one at a time. Most had retired. Several refused to speak. 2 said they had been visited by government officials within the past month and warned not to discuss Silent Lantern. 1 man ended the call the moment he heard my name. Owen Price answered immediately. Raven 6. I need to ask you about the evacuation. I already testified. Not about Marcus. About the authorization system. His voice changed. What did you find? My father kept a list. Thomas Hayes. Yes. I wondered where he put it. You knew. I knew he had something. What? Marcus gave it to him. The room seemed to narrow. When did Marcus meet my father? Before the operation. That's impossible. No, Mom. My father was in Colorado. Marcus traveled there 3 days before deployment. Why? He said he needed someone outside command he could trust. My father had known Marcus was investigating a breach. He had hidden the list in the watch he later gave back to me. Why didn't you tell me? Marcus ordered me not to. He disappeared 12 years ago. And you taught us orders do not expire because they become painful. I closed my eyes. Sometimes your own lessons return in the voice of someone you cannot argue with. What did Marcus suspect? That the evacuation software contained a secondary access layer, authorized by Voss. Yes. Did Caldwell know? Not before the mission. After? I don't know. Owen. There were 27 names in the watch. That's how many people survived. 27 people left the compound. Yes. But Caldwell testified that 31 people were evacuated. Owen became silent. 4 names are missing, I said. No. What? 27 survivors were officially processed. Who were the other 4? Unregistered personnel. Civilians? 3 civilians. And the 4th? Owen exhaled. Victor Kane. I stood so quickly that my chair fell backward. Kane was inside the compound. We found him injured in the communications wing. He had false credentials. Why was he evacuated? Caldwell ordered it. Did Caldwell know who he was? He said Kane was an intelligence asset, and after Kane reached safety, he disappeared from medical custody. The entire operation changed shape in my mind. We had believed Kane's people attacked the compound to retrieve evidence, but Kane had been inside it. We had rescued him. Caldwell had ordered us to bring him out. Who was the 28th survivor on Marcus's recorder? I asked. What do you mean? The device had partitions tied to identities. Mine, Sophie's, and Caldwell's. There may have been another. Owen lowered his voice. There was a woman. What woman? She arrived with Kane. Name? I never knew it. Description? Early 30s. Red hair. Medical credentials. Was she injured? No. Then why evacuate her? She claimed to be treating Kane. Did Caldwell order her removal too? Yes. That made 29. Who were the remaining 2? One was a translator, and the last. Owen paused. A child. I felt cold. There was a child inside the compound. A girl. Maybe 8 years old. What happened to her? Marcus took her through the Eastern Passage. Marcus had not drawn the attackers away only because he carried evidence. He had been protecting a child. Did she survive? I don't know. Why was she not in the official report? Caldwell ordered every reference removed. I ended the call and stared at Marcus's recorder codes. A child would have been an unusual biometric user. Sophie's profile had unlocked one partition because Marcus connected it to his daughter. Perhaps the device was not waiting for Sophie specifically. Perhaps it was waiting for someone the same age as the child Marcus had saved. Naomi reviewed the technical structure. The biometric profile wasn't based on a fingerprint, she said. What was it based on? Pulse pattern. Can pulse patterns match? Not exactly. But the device may have been programmed for a general range. Small hand, elevated resting pulse. A child. Yes. Sophie had unlocked a partition intended for the girl in the compound, the final recent recording from Marcus. Said he had awakened 18 months ago. Someone had kept him alive. Someone had helped activate the recorder, the red-haired medic? The child, now an adult? Or both? Noah entered the room carrying a court notice. The review panel has changed tomorrow's proceeding. How? It will be public. Naomi frowned. Security inquiries are rarely public. Voss requested transparency. I understood immediately. He doesn't want an inquiry. What does he want? A performance. Voss planned to destroy my credibility in front of the country before the real evidence surfaced. He believed I would protect Marcus by remaining silent. He was right about one thing. I would protect Marcus. But I was finished protecting the people who had buried him. The hearing chamber was full before I entered. Rewarders occupied 2 rows. Military personnel sat behind the review panel. My mother watched from the public gallery beside Noah. Naomi sat at the defense table with me. General Caldwell sat alone near the witness area. He had not contacted me since our confrontation. Brigadier General Adrian Voss entered wearing his full service uniform. His ribbons covered nearly half his chest. He looked directly at me as he took his seat. The chair of the panel read the allegations. Unauthorized transmission of classified materials. Improper communication with a presumed deceased service member. Removal of restricted evidence. Conduct prejudicial to military security. Voss's attorney presented the field recorder. The device responded to Colonel Hayes' call sign, he said. Minutes later, restricted operational files were transmitted to an unapproved network. A technician displayed system logs showing my authentication sequence. Naomi whispered, "The 14-second discrepancy is gone." They altered the record. They also removed the replay marker. The attorney played an audio file. My voice said, "Open the Silent Lantern archive. Transfer all records to external counsel." It sounded perfect. It was also something I had never said. The gallery began whispering. Voss leaned toward his microphone. Colonel Hayes has long relied upon the secrecy surrounding her assignments to avoid scrutiny. I looked at him. He continued. She has presented herself as a decorated operational commander. Yet many of her claims cannot be independently verified. The words were carefully chosen. He did not call me a liar. He invited everyone else to do it for him. The panel chair turned to me. "Colonel Hayes, did you authorize the transmission?" "No. Is that your voice?" "It is a reconstruction." "Do you have proof?" "Yes." Voss almost smiled, then present it. "Major Carter needs access to the original system metadata. That information is classified. You have displayed selected classified logs publicly for the limited purpose of this inquiry. Then the panel should examine the entire record." Voss's attorney objected. The panel denied Naomi access. The message was clear. They did not want evidence. They wanted submission. General Voss stood. Colonel Hayes was given an extraordinary level of institutional trust. That trust was based partly upon heroic accounts that remain inaccessible to the public. He walked toward my table. But courage in one operation does not excuse betrayal in another. My mother shifted in her seat. Voss faced the panel. "I recommend Colonel Hayes be immediately relieved of rank pending criminal referral." The chamber became silent. The panel chair looked at me. "Colonel Hayes, place your identification and rank insignia on the table." Naomi whispered, "Do not do it." I removed the colonel insignia from my jacket. My mother stood. "Elena." The security officer asked her to sit. I placed the insignia on the table. Voss watched, with quiet satisfaction. Then he said the sentence he had been building toward all morning. "Your silence can no longer protect you, Colonel." I looked at the insignia between us. "You're right." His expression changed slightly. I turned toward the panel. "Please play Channel 6. The attorney frowned. "There is no Channel 6 in evidence." "Yes, there is. The recorder contains only 5 active channels, because the 6th appears only after my rank authentication is removed." Voss's face became still. Marcus understood military hierarchy. He knew that if I were accused, investigators would remove my credentials before examining the device. He had designed the final channel to activate only when the system registered that Raven 6 no longer held command access. The technician looked toward Voss. Voss shook his head. The panel chair noticed. "Play Channel 6. The technician connected the recorder. A new indicator appeared. Channel 6. Command Facier archive the screen, displayed a verification request. Stand the final order." Everyone looked toward me. I remembered Marcus's last words. "Bring them home." I leaned toward the microphone. "Bring them home." The channel opened. Marcus appeared on the screen. The footage was clearer than the recordings we had already seen. He sat inside the damaged communications room during Silent Lantern. Smoke drifted through the background. A young red-haired woman stood behind him, treating a wound on his shoulder. Beside her was a frightened girl. Marcus looked into the camera. Raven 6, if this channel opens, they have accused you. Voss stood. This material has not been cleared. The panel chair ordered him to sit, Marcus continued. The secondary access layer was approved by Brigadier General Adrian Voss. The chamber erupted. Voss's attorney objected. The panel ignored him. Marcus held up a printed authorization bearing Voss's signature. Voss told command the system would allow Allied intelligence to coordinate evacuations. Instead, he provided Victor Kane with real-time personnel locations. The video changed. Security footage showed Kane entering the compound hours before the attack. He was not injured. He was carrying a military access case. Marcus's narration continued. Kane came to retrieve the original transaction records. When he realized we had copied them, he triggered the attack. Another figure appeared. Caldwell. He confronted Kane in the hallway. There was no sound, but Caldwell drew a weapon and forced Kane to the ground. Marcus explained. General Caldwell discovered the breach during the evacuation. Voss ordered him to treat Kane as a protected intelligence source. Voss stood again. This is fabricated. Caldwell rose from the witness area. No, he said. It isn't. Everyone turned. The panel chair called him forward. Caldwell took the oath. Voss stared at him. You know what disclosure will do. Caldwell looked at me before answering. Yes. What did General Voss mean? The panel asked. Caldwell removed a sealed envelope from inside his jacket. For 12 years, General Voss has threatened to release the identities of every survivor if I exposed his authorization. Why would he possess those identities? Because I gave him the official evacuation record before I understood his role. You concealed evidence? Yes. Did you know Marcus Reed survived? Not initially. When did you learn? 6 months ago. My voice came out colder than I intended. And you did not tell me. Caldwell faced me. No. Why? Because the message came through Kane. The silent footage from the railway phone played in my memory. Caldwell handing Kane a photograph. What were you giving him in that office? A false extraction plan. And the photograph. Created from an age progression model. You were trying to make Kane reveal Marcus's location. Yes, you could have told me. I believed Voss was monitoring you. He was. I also believed you would go after Marcus immediately. I would have. And Kane would have followed you. I looked away. Caldwell had manipulated me, but he had not betrayed Marcus in the way the edited footage suggested. That did not erase 12 years of lies. The Channel 6 recording continued. Marcus turned the camera toward the red-haired medic. My name is Dr. Evelyn Shaw, she said. I worked for Kane's medical network. I didn't understand what he was doing until tonight. She placed a hand on the child's shoulder. This girl is Anna Voss. The chamber became completely silent. General Voss's daughter, Voss, closed his eyes. Marcus continued. Anna discovered files on her father's home system and contacted Kane, believing he was a government investigator. Kane abducted her after realizing what she had seen. Voss slammed his hand on the table. She was not abducted. The panel chair stared at him. You reported your daughter killed in an automobile accident. Voss's composure vanished. She was confused. Kane was supposed to bring her home. You authorized Kane to retrieve her. I authorized an Allied asset to recover stolen defense material. Marcus's voice continued from the screen. Voss gave Kane access because Kane promised to return Anna quietly. When the operation collapsed, Voss erased her from the report to protect his career. The girl in the recording looked at the camera. My father knows Mr. Kane hurt people, she said. He told me none of it mattered as long as I came home. My mother covered her mouth. Voss stared at the image of his daughter. She was 12, he whispered. You reported her dead, Caldwell said. To protect her. No, to protect yourself. Voss turned toward me. You don't understand what a parent will do. I stood. My father hid evidence inside a watch for 24 years because he knew men like you would call self-preservation love. You would have done the same for Marcus. No. I looked toward the screen. I wore my oldest coat on purpose. I would have brought him home and stood beside him when the truth came. Federal officers entered the chamber. Voss's attorney moved close to him. The general did not resist as investigators removed his identification and sidearm. Before they led him away, he looked at my insignia on the table. You think they'll give that back and everything will be clean? No. Then what did you win? I looked at Naomi, Caldwell, my mother, and the faces of survivors in the gallery. The right people finally know who betrayed them. Voss was escorted from the room. The panel ordered an immediate suspension of the proceedings. Naomi's clearance was restored pending formal review. My rank insignia remained on the table. No one moved to return it. I picked it up myself. 3 days later, General Caldwell came to the Hayes Veterans Recovery Center. He did not wear a suit. He wore an old Army field jacket with no rank. I found him standing beneath my father's photograph. You knew my father, I said. Yes. How well? He treated me after my first deployment. Did he know about Anna Voss? He knew a child had survived. Not her identity. Why did he hide the authorization list in my watch? Because he believed someone would eventually come for the evidence. And giving it to his daughter seemed safe. He believed you would know when to use it. I didn't know it existed. He believed that was safer too. I folded my arms. Everyone protected me by lying. No. Caldwell looked toward Dad's photograph. Some of us protected ourselves and used you as the justification. It was the most honest thing he had said. Will you be charged? I submitted a full statement. That wasn't my question. I should be. Voss threatened the survivors, and I allowed fear to determine policy. You saved lives. I also prolonged the lie that destroyed Marcus's family. There are apologies that ask for forgiveness. Caldwell's did not. He was not trying to escape the weight. That made it harder to remain angry. Not impossible, just harder. Do you know where Marcus is? I asked. No. Do you know who does, Doctor? Evelyn Shaw. The woman in the recording? She disappeared with Anna after the operation. Anna is alive? Yes. Where? Protected identity. Voss arranged it before Kane turned against him. Does she know where Marcus was held? Possibly. Then give me her location. I can't. I stepped closer. You have lost the privilege of deciding what I can know. It isn't my decision. Whose is it? A voice came from the doorway. Mine. A woman stood in the entrance, late 20s, red hair cut to her shoulders. A scar crossed the left side of her neck. She carried no visible weapon, but her stance told me she knew how to use one. Caldwell looked at her. Anna. The frightened child from the recording had grown into a woman. Anna Voss entered the room. My father told Kane you had the recorder, she said. Your father is in custody. Kane has people outside the military. Where is Marcus? I don't know his current location. Then why are you here? Because Marcus left something with my mother before Kane killed her. Dr. Shaw was your mother? My biological mother. The red-haired medic had not merely been treating Anna. She had been protecting her own daughter. Anna placed a small metal key on my father's desk. It bore the same divided circle symbol as Caldwell's partition. What does it open? I asked. A storage locker in Baltimore. What's inside? Marcus's original Silent Lantern files. Why didn't you retrieve them? Because the locker requires 2 keys. Who has the second? Anna looked at Caldwell. He removed an identical key from beneath his shirt. I stared at him. How long have you had that? 12 years. And you never opened the locker? I didn't know where it was. Anna picked up her key. Now you do. I looked from her to Caldwell. Why should I trust either of you? You shouldn't, Anna said. The answer was immediate, honest. Trust the evidence after you see it. I picked up my coat. Caldwell looked toward the fading afternoon light outside. Kane will be watching the locker. I know. You may want a team. I have one. Naomi entered through the side door carrying 2 tactical bags. Owen Price followed her. Then Noah appeared, looking deeply unhappy about being included in anything involving tactical equipment. I'm an attorney, he said. Not an assault team. You're carrying the warrant. I told him. That does not make me feel better. Anna almost smiled. For the first time since Marcus's voice came through the station payphone, I felt the shape of the operation changing. I was no longer following messages left by a dead man. I was building a team to find a living one. The storage facility stood near the Baltimore waterfront. Locker 217 was located beneath the main building in a corridor without cameras. Anna inserted her key. Caldwell inserted his. The lock released. Inside were 12 sealed evidence cases, an old laptop, and a military medical transport container. Naomi examined the laptop. No power. Owen opened the first case. It contained payment records connecting Victor Kane to military contractors, intelligence officials, and private detention facilities across 3 countries. Noah opened another. Inside were photographs of missing personnel. Some had been officially declared dead. Others had never been reported missing. Others had never been the 6th folder. I found Marcus in the 6th folder. The first photograph showed him unconscious inside a medical facility. The second showed him 18 months later, standing with assistants. The third had been taken only 6 days earlier. Marcus was thinner and older, but alive. Behind him was a sign in another language. Naomi identified it. Romania. Anna examined the photograph. That isn't where he is. How do you know? The clinic was abandoned 4 months ago. A small speaker inside the locker activated. Marcus's voice filled the room. Raven 6. If you open this locker, Voss has fallen. I moved toward the speaker. Kane will relocate every prisoner within 48 hours. A digital map appeared on the laptop. 5 locations flashed. Only one site is real. Marcus continued. The others are designed to expose whoever comes looking. Owen studied the map. How do we know which one? Marcus answered as though he had heard the question. Elena knows. I examined the 5 locations. Romania, Poland, Germany, Turkey, Colorado. The final site was less than 40 miles from the house where I had grown up. Beneath the Colorado coordinate was a familiar sentence. Stand when others step back. My father's words, not a motto. A location code. I looked at Caldwell. My father knew where Kane kept them. Caldwell stared at the screen. Or Kane knew your father would lead you there. The storage facility alarm began to sound. Naomi checked the corridor. We have movement upstairs. Anna drew a pistol from beneath her jacket. Noah looked at her. Please tell me that's legally registered. No, I regret asking. The lights went out. A red dot appeared on the wall. The same kind I had seen at the railway station. Victor Kane's voice came through the speaker. Colonel Hayes, thank you for finding what I lost. The steel door behind us slammed shut. Smoke began entering through the ventilation system. Caldwell looked at me. Orders, Raven 6. 12 years earlier, I had led a team into a compromised building and lost Marcus Reed. This time, I knew who had built the trap. I picked up one of the tactical bags. We take the evidence. And Kane? I looked toward the dark corridor beyond the locker. We leave the light on for him.